All right, welcome everyone to our first 2026 Salesforce Arts and Culture Nonprofit User Group. We're tickled today to have Rachel Park Brayboy with us to kind of go over all things related to security. And we are, you may have heard if you came on earlier that we did make an adjustment in our presenters just because we had to accommodate an emergency situation. So we don't have one of our speakers, but we hope that she will join us another time. But we'll go ahead and get started here. We have our co-leads for the group. Orlando here is going to be monitoring the chat and the Q&A if you have any questions or needs in that area. And my name is Sarah, joining you here and from outside of Chicago as we kind of lead into this wonderful session. So just a quick review of our agenda. We will miss Blanca. Hope she can join in the future, and we'll, I'm sure Rachel's information is very good, and she'll let us know if that's another opportunity and we can get that on the books and bring this group back together. So we have some slides that we'll go over here in a little bit of time. We imagine the presentation will be about 35 minutes with Q&A, and then we've just got a couple of things at the end to kind of go over. We were originally going to be 90 minutes. We're at 60 minutes, so hopefully that still works for everyone's schedule. All right, just some quick notes. I think we all know how to kind of be in the rooms together, but just having some fun with just some codes of conduct and just general housekeeping here. We will have questions that we'll take. Any questions that you have in the chat or in the Q&A. We're going to hold those for Rachel at the end just so that she can kind of get through her content and we can kind of keep that organized all together so that doesn't get derailed. So just know that if it doesn't come while we're going through, we will get to it by the end of the presentation. All right, but first celebrating the Salesforce Architect Group, which Rachel is a co-lead or lead on. Rachel, I'm actually not quite sure, but congratulations on reaching forward.
I'm the leader.
Excellent. All right, well done. So happy to kind of celebrate that. I think we just are across the 150 member threshold, so we're coming up behind you, but congratulations. All right. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, did you want to attempt a group picture, Sarah? I'm not sure how Bevy works.
Oh, did you want to do it now? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it before we start.
Okay, so I think what I have to do is stop sharing. And then for everybody who's here, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment and just coming off of coming on to camera. Rachel wanted to grab a quick picture. It's almost like everybody's kind of coming to Twitter.
Oh, am I doing it, Sarah? So I just want to make sure.
No, I was just waiting for a couple of other people too.
You tell me when to smile.
Okay. All right. Seeing if anybody else is coming, and then I'm just going to say 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Let's do another one at the end when more people join, but we're really good looking.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. All right, let's go back and don't mind us while we figure all this stuff out. Okay, here we go. And now here is, I am pleased and so happy, Orlando and I both are, to have Rachel join us for this awesome information. And, here is some information that is related to her credentials and things like that. But Rachel, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing this really critical info.
Thanks, Sarah. Okay to go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Great. Can you go back to my slide for a sec? I was just
yeah.
Yep. So hi, everyone. I'm just going to be off camera while I present. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Park Brayboy. I lead the Los Angeles Architect User Group, and I have over 10 years of experience helping nonprofits with Salesforce. I'm currently the systems administrator at Pledge 1%, so thank you to some of my colleagues, old and new. I see Sheldon for my my previous colleague here for attending today. And arts and culture nonprofits are near and dear to my heart. As a Korean, I don't know if everyone saw BTS was on The Tonight Show last night at the Guggenheim Museum, which really made me happy. They will be performing again tonight. But I was honored to be part of the digital transformation team for the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures in Los Angeles. I also recently worked with the Frank Lloyd Wright Foundation and Arash, who is here. I love using my Salesforce skills for good by helping nonprofits set up for success to focus on what's most important, which is their mission. And I am a proud beta tester for the OG Nonprofit Success Pack Consultant Certification Exam. As a passionate security awareness advocate, I achieved my ISC2 certified in cybersecurity certification. And although it is no longer offered, which is unfortunate because I think it's actually really important, I also proudly became a Salesforce security and privacy accredited professional. So rest in peace to that certification, but I'm very proud that I have it. So next slide, sir. Okay. So why are we here today, and why should nonprofits care about cybersecurity? So this is actually from a recent article. I can go ahead and advance the slides, Sarah. Yep. So, oh, I didn't know you had an animation. Great. So this is from a recent article from the Cyber Peace Institute. A lot of these stats are European-based, but the learnings are actually very valuable. So nonprofits are what are known as cyber poor and target rich. So as nonprofits collect and retain more beneficiary data, receive donor funds through different digital channels, and manage key operations via internet and the cloud, their vulnerability to cyber attacks has really increased in the past few years. And this is due to the fact that nonprofits come across as cyber poor, target rich to cyber criminals. Next. So cyber poor meaning they're an easy target from a technical perspective, and target rich as the sector raises over $1 trillion annually to deliver programs that bring life-saving assistance and protection to people in need. So cybersecurity is a particular challenge for nonprofits. Nonprofits operate on well-defined and often limited budgets, dedicate most of their funds to fulfilling their mandates, which makes it very difficult for them to attract the cybersecurity talent they need to stay secure. And beyond funding, one of the main challenges nonprofits face is that their leaders often lack the time, in many cases the awareness to carry out the extensive research needed to implement robust cybersecurity governance measures aligned with their organization's operational reality. Yep. So according to Microsoft's 2021 Digital Defense Report, nonprofit organizations have become the second most targeted sector by cyber criminals, accounting for 31% of all notifications of nation-state attacks against organizational domains as detected by Microsoft. A research study conducted by the Cyber Peace Institute in 2023 amongst, again, this is European-based, Geneva-based nonprofits highlighted that 41% of these orgs have been the victim of a cyber attack in the past few years. Next. Okay. And so the same study states that 56% of NGOs do not have a budget allocated for their cybersecurity needs, while 70% of them do not believe they have the knowledge, skills, and resilience necessary to respond to a cyber attack. So as we all know, nonprofits operate on well-defined and often limited budgets, dedicating most of the funds to fulfilling their mandates, and this makes it difficult for nonprofits to attract the cybersecurity talent needed to stay secure. So beyond funding, one of the main challenges they face is that the leaders often, okay, sorry, this is repeating, but they just lack time to carry out the research necessary to implement these robust cybersecurity governance measures aligned with their reality. So few donors require grantees and allow them to invest the time and funding on cybersecurity and leaving them and their beneficiaries very vulnerable. Next. So nonprofits risk severe disruption to their services, irreparable damage to vulnerable populations who may rely on them, and most importantly, the erosion of public trust that could undermine their fundraising prospects. So prioritizing cybersecurity is no longer an option, but an imperative for nonprofits. And so in assessing the criticality of cybersecurity for nonprofits, three main issues really stand out. The operational impact of cyber attacks, the safety of beneficiary and donor data, and ultimately the overall financial impact of cyber attacks on nonprofits. One of the most immediate and tangible consequences of a cyber attack on nonprofits is the disruption of day-to-day operations. And in the event of a successful attack, nonprofits often find themselves locked out of their own systems, unable to access vital data, and facing the daunting task of restoring operations. The downtime resulting from such disruptions can really hinder program delivery, compromise project timelines, and erode the trust of the stakeholders. Great. So let's kick things off with one of my very favorite topics, which are internal Salesforce security settings, which are the building blocks of the Salesforce data security model. Next. So I just want to shout out the incomparable Leah McGowan here for this quote, which really sets the tone for our session today. AI does not replace security fundamentals, but it makes them more important than ever. So whether it's OWD, permission sets, record level access, these are not just checkboxes, they're your first line of defense. Okay, next. So it's important that we talk through the different security layers. We need to understand how they all, okay, hold on one second, Sarah, how they all work together to make up your Salesforce data security model. So here are just a few highlights. Yeah, can you actually just click through so it all shows?
Yeah, just to, I think it just had the animations in it, so happy to kind of.
Oh, weird. Okay, that's fine.
So I'm just gonna, but yeah, let me do it. Just load this whole slide.
Sure.
Okay.
I didn't, no, I had added animation, so.
There we go.
What a fun surprise. Thank you. Okay, so just it's important to understand the different settings that actually all work together to make up the data security model. So the sharing model defines what records users can see. So this is organization-wide default, or OWD, which you may hear me refer to throughout the presentation, record-based visibility, role hierarchy, sharing rules, and manual sharing. And then profiles define how a user sees information on the screen. So profiles are assigned layouts, and then permissions define what a user can do. So permission set groups with permission sets by persona for access to objects and fields, system permissions, access to apps, and functionality. I have a few things to say here, sir, before we flip. It's important to highlight the following. You want to customize profiles by cloning the minimum access profile and build up with permission sets. You should really look at your role hierarchies and sharing rules, especially for AI-enhanced apps or agents. And above all, apply the principle of least privilege, we will talk about often throughout the session. You just want to give people just enough access to do their job and nothing more. And this is especially true for service accounts, automations, and external integrations. Okay, you can click. Okay, so I think, sorry. This one we can actually go through one by one. Sorry. I didn't know it had all these fun animations in it, so we're learning together. Just one second. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with the inverted security pyramid. So this actually opens up access as you go up through the sharing setting layers. So again, OWD, organizational-wide defaults, this is the baseline access. This is the most restrictive. It's either private, public read-only, or public read-write. Next. Next is role hierarchy. So this is top-down visibility structure for users. This determines which users can access data owned or shared by other users below them in the hierarchy. It's important to know that users and roles on the same level horizontally cannot see records owned by each other. So this must be opened up by a sharing role. Next. So then sharing roles, like we just said, since users can't see horizontally by default, you have to use a sharing role. So sharing roles extend sharing access by object to users in public groups, roles, or territories if you use those. This gives particular users greater access, such as read or read-write, by making automatic exceptions to your org-wide sharing settings. And to create these, your org-wide defaults must be public read-only or private. If it's public read-write, you don't need sharing rules, right? There's a couple different types of sharing rules. There's an owner-based sharing rule. So this opens access to records owned by certain users. And then there's criteria-based sharing rules. And this determines with whom to share records based on field values. And it's important to note that criteria-based sharing rule is not available for all objects. Okay, next. And then we have manual sharing. This allows users to grant access to individual records to specific users, groups, roles, or territories. And this provides a way to bypass standard sharing rules and grant one-off exceptions. Again, this is not supported for all objects. And just note that if the record owner is changed, all manual sharing is automatically removed from that record. There's a few important considerations I just want to touch on here. There are what are called restriction rules. They're not in this visual, but these can be created to further restrict record access based on specific criteria, taking precedence over object permissions. So in contrast, remember, sharing rules actually open up access. And in Salesforce, it's very important to know the most restrictive permission setting is the one that will take precedence when there's a conflict between different access levels. So let me give you an example. If a user has object level permissions to read and edit, if record level or field level settings are more restrictive, the user will only have the more limited access. So an example would be if a user has read-write access to opportunities, but a restriction rule limits access to only certain opportunity records, they can only access those specific records, even though they generally have read-write permissions. And then next there. I can just click through these. Yep. And permissions should really be based on personas, depending on the complexity of your org. And so this is just an example. If you have a customer service rep, and then you would create a public group for customer service reps to associate with this persona. So then this group would then be used to assign custom sharing, record sharing roles, list views, queues, email template folders, and report and dashboard folders. And remember that your permissions should now be on the permission set assigned to the user, not their profile. Okay. Next.
Okay. Do you want me to load all of this?
Sure, just show all the fun. This is probably one of the most frequently asked questions I get about security, and that is what should be in a profile and what should be in a permission set. Because now best practice is to have a permission set led security model, right? So, but profiles are not going anywhere, right? So although your permission should now be on the permission set, there are still things that should still remain on the profile, which are default record types and apps, page layout assignments, login hours and IP ranges, password and session settings. Again, use the minimum access profile to start if you want to create a custom profile, and then you add on from there. And then the permissions really need to move to the permission sets. So system and app permissions, object and fields, connected app access, Apex classes and visual force pages, record types, not default, default has to be on the profile, apps, tab settings, and custom permissions. Okay, next. Okay, and you'll hear a lot of us, anyone talking about security say this a lot. The principle of least privilege is very important. So Zero Trust takes a least privilege approach. This means only granting users, devices, applications, and systems the absolute minimum privilege level they need to do their job. So limiting their permissions prevents unauthorized access to sensitive records and information. This is an approach to security where they have the minimal permissions necessary to carry out this work. To follow this principle, you should structure your permission sets to be granular and modular. So what are some recommendations? One, conduct a privilege audit to review your existing counts and permissions and ensure there is no privilege creep. And then next, assign the least privilege profile that Salesforce provides, which is called the minimum access user profile. If you need to make a custom profile, start with that as your base, clone it, and then you layer on permissions using permission sets and permission set groups by persona according to the access required. And then there's all, I should note, Sarah, on the bottom of each slide is just a link to the whatever post or blog that I'm referencing. So. Next. So just some best practices. Yeah, you can just click through these. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So just here's a cheat sheet. Authentication, absolutely implement MFA. A lot of nonprofits do not even have this. So this is absolutely crucial and important, and one of the, most crucial guardrails that you can put into place easily. Use strong password policies. leverage Salesforce authentication, implement single sign-on, Okta, etc. For authorization, which is data access and visibility, this includes CRUD, create, read, update, delete, or FLA, which is field level access. Again, apply the principal least privilege, use field level security, set up IP allow listing if your org is, needs that level of complexity, enable session security settings, and then user trainer and awareness is so important. Conduct security awareness training, reinforce really good security habits in real time, reducing the likelihood of user errors. And finally, just train your users to be like MFA and strong password policies are so vital. The principal of least privilege and field level security matter now more than ever, especially if you are using AI and it's pulling from multiple objects. And finally, again, with in the spirit of security awareness training, train your users to be security minded. Make sure they question if something feels off. Do they understand what to do in those instances? How do they report phishing? Just remember, technology will not save you if your team does not know how to use it safely. Next. Okay, we have a fun little quiz. So I'm just going to put this up there. Should we just have people just write in the chat their thoughts?
Yeah, I love that. That's what I was thinking.
Yep. So if your organization-wide default or OWD is public read only on the accounts object, but the user does not have read access on the accounts object via permission set, the user will still be able to view account records. True or false, and just put it in the chat. Hurrah, Stone Road, I like it.
Yeah, so far people are in agreement that it's false. Yeah, false across the board, except the no from Arash.
Rash Stone Road.
We didn't put the prompt up here. Here you go.
Oh, okay, there you go. Our surprise animations. Yep. Okay. Looks like folks up. But yes, false. Why? Because remember, Salesforce will actually take on the most when there is a conflict in permissions, Salesforce will always enforce the most restrictive. So you can have OWD as public read only, but the object, the user still needs to have access to actually read that object in order to view those records. So, great job, everyone. Okay.
All right. I think that brings us to questions. And Orlando, I don't know if...
Yeah, there's a question in the Q&A. If you want to keep writing questions there, or after this one, feel free to unmute and ask live. From Joseph, have you run into many situations where you have to solve for IP ranges where people work remotely, so the IPs will be DHCP and change and be unique to their area? Open up several octets of that range or collate them all.
Starting out with an easy one, Joseph. That is a great question, and I'll be honest, I need to look into that. I think IP ranges are interesting, especially when people are dealing with things like VPN. Like, I know several people that use our IP ranges even applicable as much anymore. That's a great question. I would actually love to dig into that a bit and get back to you. We have my LinkedIn. I can share my LinkedIn in the chat, Orlando. But yeah, great question, Joseph. I'm going to dig into that actually because I'm curious.
Yeah, we'll get the answer to that. And Rachel, feel free to share it directly, or we can also kind of share it with the group, kind of with the recording as well. So we'll have that. I'm kind of curious about kind of with the move to permission sets, just what you see as kind of what's something of what you mentioned that people just don't, that is the hardest to kind of get to, or that people don't think about? Like, is there anything that's kind of more common that really kind of opens folks up to vulnerabilities?
You mean moving from profiles to permission sets? Or?
Yeah, in terms of, with these settings and things like that, or just in general in terms of your security settings, what's the most common thing that kind of people forget to include?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of orgs historically, I mean, I certainly have set up historical orgs historically that we were not told to do, permission set led security models were not the best practice back then. So I'm just thinking of all the orgs that were set up one way. And now recommendation is probably that they should be set up another way. And I think just the time that orgs need to really, I have done those, and that's not a quick project, right? To really dig into and understanding what your users need and then making those changes. And so I think just making that a priority and taking the time to do it is what I mean, a lot of nonprofits aren't going to be able to do that, right? I think that's one of the biggest challenges I see.
Yeah, that resonated with Joey.
Yeah, Joy gets it. So, and I will say it's not exclusive to nonprofits. I've done a security assessment and recommendation projects for both for-profit and nonprofit, and you'd be actually not surprised. I think that they have very similar data gaps that they're just not even aware of. I think Salesforce is great about making it sound very easy for you to stand an org up, which it is. But I do think security really becomes an afterthought, unfortunately, in the rush for that happening. But it's very important, especially now with AI. I hear a lot of nonprofits, especially asking about AI, and I have to remind them, if your security is not in place, if your data is not in a good place, that's the last thing you should be thinking about, because both of those need to be in a good place before you even start thinking about opening it up to agents.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I tend to say, not often regarding security, but AI implementation is like AI is like an enhancer, an accelerator. So whatever you have, it's gonna be amplified. So if you have dirty data, it's gonna get you dirty data faster and something like that. So you have to have your fundamentals down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I read horror stories just about bots exposing all the data within minutes, right? Because they, in the rush to get an agent, security was not really fundamental security was not a consideration, and the data is not in a good place. So now you have a bot that's exposing dirty data and it wasn't secure. So you really need to have both of those things in place before you can think about AI.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, is that that forever thing of like going fast to market and we'll test later and secure it later. Kind of like still security, but with bots and agents for service. I asked in a session in Dreamforce about, hey, how can we prevent, like, if somebody's asking a question that doesn't pertain to or institution or organization, like what's the meaning of life? How we're gonna prevent that from consuming our tokens? That can, it's kind of like out there, but it's also the point. I saw this very funny meme about the bot for Chipotle. To somebody asked, like, could you create the code to reverse a linked list? And it gave the code.
And I don't,
not asking for a burrito.
And I think I read something about McDonald's, I think, job application. Something was exposed and the password was like 12345 or something, right? So I mean, that's a pretty huge corporation that didn't seem to take security. So it's not exclusive to nonprofits, but I mean, I think that just highlights the importance of having really good fundamental security in place before you even open up to things like that. And also, please don't have your password be 12345.
And it's kind of just like you said, it's about the data that you put into it. Because if it's crap data or if you're exposing to stuff, and like I've built a couple of bots, and it's just pretty much I give it like a segmented data that it can look at, and that's the only thing that's trained on. That's the only thing that it knows. So if you ask it like, what's the meaning of life? It's like, I can't tell you the meaning of life because I'm only trained on this. So it's a process before you get up to that point, because if you, like you said, if you move too fast, you throw everything in there, now it has all this stuff and you get more hallucinations, you get all types of stuff. But if you just segment that data, have it trained on that data, and you kind of slowly push it out, you're better doing it that way. But pretty sure you know that better than I do because you're the security person. So
Sheldon is my former coworker. Thanks for coming on, Sheldon, and
awesome.
Sharing that example. So.
We have Arash and Joseph on queue. too?
Yes. I forgot
Be
I had
nice,
my
Raj.
hand raised. Just raised it too already. I forgot. There's a conversation actually I had with Mike Brown last year, Dreamforce, in the Arts and Entertainment shindig he put on with Valerie around the truth around data. How do I know the data is true, and especially when AI generates it, how do I know it's telling me the truth? And we talked about how if you're externally accessing data, you can never be sure, but if it's from your own org, that's the truth. That is your truth, as well as it's as clean as it is, as best as you've maintained your database, that's your truth. So as we're talking around what can I access, what kind of conversations will I have, and what's repeated to me, and how the AI is prompted to respond. One thing that makes me feel a little better is because I can control that truth, especially within a Salesforce kind of paradigm. I can control what I'm accessing because it's out of my org. And if I'm going external, then that's on me. But having control over that truth of the data set is making me feel a little better about AI.
Yeah, I would. Oh, sorry, Raj, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, great point. And again, like you said, it shows the truth about your data. But I also think, to Sheldon's point, if you have junk, dirty data, it actually shows that as well. So, and I think we're all familiar.
I'll show you.
Yeah, I think we're all familiar with the term garbage in, garbage out. And if your data is not in a good place, it's going to show that too. So I think that's why it's important, if you're asking it to make your life easier by pulling up data, but the data is actually not good. Is it actually, what Sarah said, is it actually, I mean, it's actually doing what you asked it to do, but that's why it's so important that your data is actually clean.
The good news is you have then control over it to clean it and do whatever you want with it because it's yours. Yeah, thank you. Good session, as always.
Thanks, Raj.
Joseph, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sorry about that. So I'm sure we've all kind of ran into this, so I'd be interested to see how others have solved it. So products like Salesforce Shield or Field Audit Trail, these are kind of expenses that a lot of nonprofits just like they can't burden those, and it doesn't like Shield, for instance, doesn't make sense for a lot of nonprofits unless they're working with PHI or something like that. So when we're talking about sensitive data or data exfiltration, some of the native features like field audit history, I mean, they're limited by fields and only retained for so long. We've been able to do some like creative things with like before save flows to block updates on sensitive data, restricting record level access, maybe creating like a platform event flow that kind of fires off when like data exfiltration was a good example that one of my clients had a concern about, like competitive data being exfiltrated out. And we don't really have visibility on that without kind of getting creative or having those additional SKUs. So I'm curious if anyone has kind of ran into that and how you might have solved that.
Yeah, great question, Joseph. I'll be honest. I agree with you. Nonprofits do not have budget for Shield and Field Audit. Just those additional tools. So I have not. I haven't even been able to get hands on. I'm curious if anyone else has run into something similar to Joseph, and what they've done creatively with what Salesforce can natively do to mitigate for that.
If anybody else has any experience, feel free to come off a chat.
I don't know if you have any examples, Mike Brown. I'm calling you out because you work at Salesforce and you might know.
Yeah, let's take the chance to ask Salesforce directly.
Yeah, no pressure, Mike.
Yeah, happy to chime in. Any specific questions? Happy to address them.
What I can share, and I faced that situation, but I didn't solve it. I guess I'll start with a little story. At the Rock Hall, it was a common thing for people to write down credit card numbers when people will call on the phone and to charge them later. And yeah, we in the tech department almost lost our minds when that happened. So I created some forms and some features to capture credit cards securely, have them being stored in Stripe. But before that, I created some forms in FormStack, which is our form solution, which for an added layer of complexity, that's a platform. So they will save stuff in their servers, then send them to Salesforce, talking with them. They proposed native solution that's actually fully in platform, but still will need Shield, which we were not able to get. I tried to do some encryption natively in Salesforce, but ultimately we switched to this solution of calling the Stripe API and encrypting. They do the encrypting, and so that's off your hands. So that was great, but yeah, I don't have a solution
That's interesting.
to encrypt without Shield.
Well, I would say, just a quick response. Shield is probably the best option if tokenization through a third-party payment processing app like Stripe, or there's others out there. Chargent is another one. If that's not possible, Shield, I'd say, is probably the next best option. If both of those aren't possible, then there are some ways to encrypt, standard fields in Salesforce, that classic encryption field type. That's one way to do it. But the best practice is definitely not to store that full number. And depending on your processes, for example, in Nonprofit Cloud, or we've now renamed it, right, to Agentforce Nonprofit, there is that payment instrument object that puts a record on a gift transaction to store information about how the payment was made. And in that, you can see the last 4 of the payment. So that doesn't allow reuse of that card. It's just a store of what has happened. So I think it very much depends on the specific use case. But long story short, I would say tokenization and a payment app are probably the best ways to do it.
Yeah. Did that help, Joseph?
Yeah, I would say at least my own use cases are more like event monitoring, and I know that can be a separate SKU outside of Shield, and Shield includes event monitoring, but it's still a SKU that a lot of customers are not willing to pay the extra money for. So it's just like trying to find creative solutions without going to that next SKU. And yeah, I totally agree. We shouldn't be capturing sensitive data unless we absolutely need it to in the CRM. And if we need that, then we really should be looking at a product like Shield. But it's just like from an event monitoring perspective of like something beyond field audit trail or capturing data exfiltrations or suspicious activity, things like that. That's the gap that I'm trying to solve for.
Got it.
Yeah, and quick response on that one. I think, as you know, when you're creating custom fields in Salesforce, you can determine whether or not you'd like them to be reportable, right? So maybe making all those fields not reportable so that folks have a harder time attempting to access it if they're attempting to do so for nefarious reasons. But agree with everything you said.
Yeah, oh, sorry, Orlando, go ahead. I was just going to add something about Shield.
Oh no, go for it. This is off topic.
Oh, I would just say too, because I've spoken to someone also at a nonprofit who like really fought to get Shield, and then when I asked them why they got it, and I don't think their needs were actually quite that complex, and now they're paying for this extra product. So as always, it's important to understand what you actually need, the why always, and what the tool, understand that before you decide on the tool, I think, and invest some expense. I think their concern is about data encryption at rest. I know Hyperforce helps with some of that. So, it's important. It's always important to understand, I think, what you actually need and then go from there.
Yeah, I definitely echo on that. It's very, I'm gonna say, sad when you acquire a new product and you underutilize it, or you didn't have the right use case. The off-topic thing that I was going to mention, or maybe it's more on topic, I'm not sure. So all this about data security within the core Salesforce platform, that's a big thing. That's fundamental, and a lot of us, I'm guilty of it. We don't have it properly set up, and now there's always more. Now, and Mike reminded me of that with what is it now? Agentforce for nonprofits. That there's a special object for payments and whatnot. But what I was going to mention is Data Cloud. Now we'll have to learn. I don't know yet. We're exploring it, how to secure it and share it properly, especially if that's what's gonna power and drive Agentforce agents. So or agents don't end up disclosing sensitive information. And one thing that I noticed in Data Cloud, which I thought was really cool, and this is more on the realm of PII, on consent in core Salesforce, you have your has opted out of email field, so to tell that they don't want to receive communications and whatnot, but there's not like a history, at least not out of the box. I was tempted to create it custom myself, where, okay, they opted in on this date, they opted out that date, and all that, and now there's a whole set of DLOs, DMOs in Data Cloud to deal with consent. Kind of like security, but yeah, more privacy.
Got it. Yeah, that's interesting, because I'll be frank, the nonprofits I work with can't even think about Data Cloud right now, and that's a whole other consideration, right? When you're talking about security.
Could be a good segue, unless anybody has more questions. We have some resource slides coming up. Does that work, Rachel, to kind of move to those?
Sure. Do we want to? I'm just going to note your question from earlier, Joseph, and I may send that to you, Mike, offline, and get your thoughts on it. So, sure, happy to keep going, sir.
All right, perfect. Let's take a look at here.
Oh, sorry. Sarah, do you want me to ping Mike right now about the question, or you just want to go ahead with the resources?
Oh, I'm fine. He's saying yes, please, to go ahead and send it to him.
Okay.
I mean, for the beauty of the recording, Mike, if you wanted to share anything right now, that could be helpful.
Up to you, Mike. No pressure.
Yeah, I know, right? He is unmuted.
There was a question Joseph had before that stumped me a little bit, and since we have the gift of having you here, I was wondering if you had any thoughts.
I can do my best. I stepped away to get some tea at a moment, so I may have missed the initial question. So happy to do my best.
Can I just copy and paste it from Q&A?
Yeah.
I can do that for you.
Oh, Orlando's doing it?
I thought I could. Oh, yeah, I can.
Okay. We're moving it over, Mike, from Q&A.
Oh, I'm seeing it now. Okay. I see that. Okay.
For the resources, for the follow-up email, we can send the slides so that they can be clickable and along with the recording. But yeah, just wanted to mention that.
Can I also add a resource I didn't have time to put in here?
Absolutely.
I will say that this last bullet, who sees what, is so fundamental. I use this a lot just to study for a lot of my certification. It's very important to understand this. And it really does go through all the layers that I mentioned and how they work together. And, they protect different things, etc. And another one that I did not get to put on here, it's not necessarily reading, but there is a regular security office hours with Matt Myers, who is the CTA. And I believe it's on Thursdays. I don't think it's weekly anymore, but there is a regular, they meet Thursday mornings, but that's a really great session to go to as well.
That would be awesome for us to kind of get that and capture that info to share it when we send the info out.
Yep, I'll send you that link, Sarah.
All right, Mike, maybe before we get to the next slide, you got a question.
Oh boy. So
It's
looking
under
at Joey's
Orlando.
question there,
Yeah.
I hate to disappoint. You're putting my
Yes,
admin
Matt,
201 cert to the test here. It's been a little while since I've thought about IP ranges, but I will ask one of our architects and I can post that answer back. What's the best way for me to share the answer?
I want to know the answer too, Mike. So
yeah, if you maybe with Rachel, Orlando, and I, and then everybody gets what they need, and we'll get it out to the group.
Yeah,
okay.
we can post it in the forum and also send it as part of a follow-up email for the session.
Yep.
Sounds great.
Yep. Thanks, Mike. And yeah, Joseph made a great point about Matt also has a great book about external security and securing experience, Salesforce experiences. So that's also a great resource as well. I just ran out of room on this line, but there's a lot of great resources that come from Matt.
All right, let's take a look at our next slide.
I just wanted to share some of these. I have Easy Protect is actually Matt's. We're just talking about Matt a lot. So Matt, that's actually Matt's company. Auto Rabbit Guard, I have not had a chance to get. This is fairly new too. Auto Rabbit created this product. It sounds really amazing. I haven't had a chance to get hands on. If anyone gets a chance to use Guard, please let me know. Security Zen, I think, is one that a lot of folks don't know about, but it's, you know, the UI, if you can get over the UI being like, it looks like it's probably from the 90s, but it's actually a really powerful tool that will compare your profiles and permission sets. I still struggle with a little bit natively how you look at them in Salesforce, that this will actually, this might be a follow-up session, Sarah, but you can export it into a really nice table like Excel or CSV. And then I don't personally use perm comparator, but when I've, you know, certainly gone into permission assessments, a lot of the community will recommend perm comparator. So I believe that's a free web tool. So.
Nice. Yeah, we've got someone chatting their usage of it and they like it. And I think that does come up. But yeah, I like that idea. If there's a deeper dive follow-up that we can do kind of on the other one, although it could be hard to look, you know, an old user interface is kind of hard, isn't it?
Yeah. The other thing I want to say about Security Zen is actually Windows only. So if you are an Apple person like me, you just got to get parallels and partitioning. So there's some extra stuff too, but it is a really great tool for being able to compare those very easily.
Awesome. I think that that kind of is the rest of these are all of the slides, Rachel. So any kind of final questions for Rachel or thoughts? This is a really good conversation, and I think we're going to put together some even more additional resources to share out too. But any closing kind of questions or thoughts? I think for me, we have a lot of folks who in the organization in different roles where I am that are excited about AI. I think I'm trying to teach myself now to just say security right after that. I think that alignment. It's easy to kind of get excited. It's great when you see results, and you might not know all the ways that things can go wrong until it actually happens. All right. Thank you, Rachel. That was tremendous. And especially knowing, you thought you were coming into this with a partner in crime. And so we appreciate your perseverance and having this conversation with us.
Yeah, and I just want to say to everyone, I know security can feel overwhelming, but it's so important. It's so fundamental, especially with AI. I think it's actually even more important with AI and everything being about that now. So security is so important. Data quality is important. I do believe there's a security user group. Sarah, it's pretty new,
Okay.
but I believe there's a new Salesforce Security user group out there. So there's that. There's a lot of resources I've shared here. Join the architect group community. I lead the LA one. Blanca, who was not able to be here today, leads the Chicago one. But we have a lot of virtual sessions like this. You don't have to be based in our area to join our groups and attend the meeting. So please feel free to join our groups, and then you'll just be alerted when the events are created. And then, let's just, all of us within the Salesforce community, just keep building secure and ethical and human-centered systems together. We're all here to help each other.
You're here. Awesome. We're going to just go one last slide that we have just to kind of go over some upcoming events. Nonprofit Dreaming is going on right now. And we've got our admin here at the Arboretum that's actually there and presenting on Fridays. So we're sending her good thoughts. And then Mike, I don't know if you want to say anything about April 14th.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Yes, we're going to be in Chicago on April 14th, hosting an event with the Blue Gator team at our Chicago Tower. Somehow, some way, we magically got the Ohana floor, which is the 57th floor of the building with a 360-degree view of Chicago. So if you're in the area and would like to see the view, if nothing else, please register for the event.
Nice.
But it should be really cool. We've got
Oh my God.
Orlando and I are coming to Chicago.
No,
please do.
I have very bad FOMO.
It's going to be great. Sarah Glass and Cy from the Morton. Cy TBD, you haven't officially said you want to join the panel, but you are welcome to, should you want. Sarah Glass will be up there. I think Sarah Thompson's already going to be joining as an attendee, but you two are welcome to join the panel. Some folks from Griffin MSI will be on the panel. And then it's a day of just discussing all the things that are possible with Salesforce around sales, service, fundraising, marketing, and more. So if you're in the area, please come on by.
You'll tell us. We'll be the ones by the windows, apparently.
Right on.
All right. And Dreaming in Data, just to jump to that one, I know, is that still, are there sessions or agenda out available for that yet, or still in the works? I don't know. I mean, I was saying that to you, Mike, assuming you might be familiar with that one, but no worries if not.
Oh, no, I am not. I have not seen anything for that yet.
I think there's a new one, Sarah, called Test Dreamin' too. I'm not sure what the date is on that, but I feel like there's lots of Dreamin' events popping up.
Yeah, 'tis the season now where I think we're opening up to having them more. And also the MPSB days, which I've personally found really helpful. I hope folks enjoy those if they make it to your community. And yes, we have now a new partner to assist with our reporting workshop. So Data Geeks Lab is going to be a part of presenting. So we're just confirming some of those details, but we did change the date. And so we'll release that shortly here and re-get that information. It already had a lot of good sign-ups, so we're thinking this is resonating with folks. Just to kind of get in the weeds a little bit. We all know how much reporting can be and how much we've probably learned painfully maybe at some time, so hopefully we can share the wealth and get some, especially I know in arts and culture, we had some brand new folks who were just a little overwhelmed with all those options. So hoping that session can provide a little clarity and some tips and tricks to help them along the way. All right.
I wanted to add something about NPSP Day, Sarah. They actually go beyond June. I think I was just looking at the dates that you had on here. There's quite a few coming up in different cities. There's one coming up in LA, which I'm very excited about in May. So if you go to that link, it'll show all the different cities that they're coming to. I believe there's one in Oakland happening actually pretty soon. But yeah, they're popping up in all kinds of different cities. So
perfect. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I know it's kind of funny. You see them traveling the country with their different dates as they announce them. So we'll update that before we get the slides sent out.
Yeah, coming to a city near you. Do we want to stop sharing to do another group photo?
All right, we're a smaller but mightier group. Let's come see what we get here.
No, thank you all for joining. This has been great.
Yeah, tremendous. Appreciate. Oh, we even got a kitty cat. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Micah,
Which might be a bit fun.
all right.
You tell
Okay.
you tell us when to say cheese.
All right. Let's. I think everybody's unloaded. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you. All right.